This is a momentous video for me. Ever since I changed my channel from Venture into the Vault into the Atomic Comic Pile, I have been cataloging every comic that I've shown on my channel. And right here, this is the 1000th. Now by that I mean I've shown 1000 comics, but there's another bit of data here. I have actually opened up and gone through and either reviewed or read in funny voices or told stories, 300 of them. Once I open this one and show it to you, this will be number 300. Also, one more. Out of those 1,000, 60 of them, including this is the 60th, are trade paperbacks or hardcover books, meaning collections of many comics inside. So I don't count this as a full collection of comics as individuals in that count of 1,000 or 300. This I count as one. So I've shown a lot of stuff on here. And so for this occasion, I want to take a look at this brand new trade paperback that just came out a few days ago. DC Finest Science Fiction, The Guerrilla World. This has 98 different stories spread over 624 pages. These stories come from the DC Comics Strange Adventures, Mystery in Space, and backup features in Action Comics that were all published between August of 1953 and November of 1954. So we kick things off with Captain Comet. This is a character perfect for my channel because he comes from an era of comics that is referred to as the Atomic Age. This is between the Golden Age and the Silver Age, in that era of the 1950s where they stopped publishing superheroes. He's one of the few comic book characters from the time that was born with superpowers, like Namor the Submariner and the original Human Torch's sidekick, Toro. And he was based on the pulp magazine character Captain Future. Okay, now we've got the Time Killer. So we've got dinosaurs. Remember, this is the early 1950s, so dinosaurs were a kind of a new thing coming out. They had been for a few decades, you know, going back to The Lost World in the 1925, I should say. But in the 1800s, these were just fossils that were being discovered as the Industrial Revolution began, and there was a lot of mining, and they didn't know what to make of these fossils. And as the study continued over the ensuing decades, they started to piece together the dawn of the saga of the dinosaurs. So now we go into the Aquarium of Tomorrow. Look, you got a merman, a shark, a fish with two heads, and look, a fish man. These comics came out when my dad was 3 years old, all the way until he was 4 years old. This is really an old era to me. The Road to Nowhere. Look, an invisible car, an invisible man. Tommy Tomorrow here is another one of those types of characters that is going to continue to appear in a lot of these stories that feels very Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers influenced. Now, 1953, when these comics were coming out, that is the same year that Godzilla came out, and lots of your classic early science fiction and monster movies that someone like George Lucas would have grown up on. Strange Adventures, pretty cool. Another Captain Comet story. You got robots. Man into Martian. Look, he's purple. Check out the experimental jet. The pilots of these were the guys that eventually became the first astronauts. I wonder what it was like back then to imagine the space race to come that hadn't started yet. I mean, Yuri Gagarin didn't go into orbit until like 1958 or something, so still years after this. Don't open till doomsday. A lot of these stories remind me of The Twilight Zone, but even then was still a show that was off in the future. 1959 to 1964 is when that show was on the air. This predates all of that. This is like in the very first few years that at least, I don't know, half of the American public had the first, early black and white television sets. Tommy Tomorrow, Comet Day. So it's a lot of retro futurism, right? It's not Victorian age futurism. It's not 70s sci-fi. This is early 50s retro futurism. Mystery in Space. Get your bug-eyed green aliens. Get your yellow men with antenna. Interplanetary Insurance Incorporated. Winged aliens flying over an alien world. This is very, like I said, Flash Gordon inspired. And yes, Buck Rogers came out before Flash Gordon, but Buck Rogers was a modern day or contemporary man that fell asleep, woke up 500 years later in the future of Earth. So it's just in the future. But Flash Gordon was a contemporary man who went to another world, went to the planet Mongo, battled Ming the Merciless, planet in reverse. Love these old rockets. And so he was encountering aliens and alien worlds. And plus he had that great newspaper comic strip by Hal Foster, right? Hal Foster, right? Yeah. Or am I thinking of Alex Raymond? One of the two, but that really influenced generations. Strange Adventures, Captain Comet. So we've got lots of these types of stories. The man who saw the future. This looks like it's right from those early 50s science fiction movies. Probably is. Very influenced by those. Or maybe they influenced the films, vice versa. A lot of the stuff, the Wonder Toys, also dates back to pulp magazines. A lot of the stuff was coming out then in the 30s and 40s. Only now, here in the early 50s, it became the dominant genre. Look at this guy. He's got a face on his belt. They all do. Lower abdomen. The strangest show on earth. See, doesn't this look like the Twilight Zone? I wonder how old Rod Serling was when these comics were coming out. I know he looked old in the Twilight Zone, but he was actually young. Maybe chain smoking does that to you. Maybe also going to the war. Was he in the war? Probably. Wasn't everybody in the war back then? Tommy Tomorrow. Robots. Spaceships, asteroids, all of these spacesuits with either the test tube helmet or the fishbowl helmet. Strange Adventures, Captain Comet, more green alien men with antennas. So I wouldn't say this is monotonous. I would just say we've got a theme here, and throughout you could explore lots of the stories in this genre. A genre that isn't really around anymore, certainly not dominant, but very fun. Detour through time. So you're going to have your time travel, invasion of the world below, underwater adventures, and even with them going into the future or into the prehistoric past or underwater, you still have contemporary times and people, but being the early 50s, it's still like a time capsule, a period piece for readers of today. Tommy Tomorrow. See, the spaceships. Now, 1948, wasn't it 1948, the Roswell incident? So this whole concept of flying saucers and all this was new and fresh. Mystery in space. Look at this awesome cover. My gosh, so cool. I'm telling you, very Flash Gordon. The Last Mile of Space. So they showed, gorilla on the cover. It said gorillas right in the title, but I've yet to come across any gorillas. This giant face guy. Basically science fiction, but it'll be interesting to see if gorillas show up, how they are incorporated into this science fiction genre. The Thought Pirate. I love the alien creatures, the alien worlds, the spacesuits, the spaceships, the robots, the magnetic duel. Look at this. It's Western. It's an old West tale with ray guns. And what are these, golems? Doesn't it look like an old episode of Doctor Who? Such a mishmash, all in one story. Look at the giant magnet. It's like he's got a bag over his head. Here we go! A gorilla. Here we go. Strange Adventure. So it's a gorilla with Captain Comet. A tribe of super apes. So gorillas, they were basically a myth, a mythological creature like Bigfoot until the mid-1850s. They started to be, discovered by Europeans, by people from the West, started to be studied, eventually captured. A lot of research didn't happen. The negative invention. Whoa, look at their faces. A lot of research into them in the wild and them actually being taken and kept in zoos didn't happen until the 1920s. Most people would never see a gorilla. The first gorilla wasn't even born in captivity until 1956, which is, several years after these comics. comics, so gorillas were a rarity. In fact, they're still a rarity. They're critically endangered. There's only about 320,000 gorillas in the whole world. They only live till about 40 years old in the wild, 50 years old in captivity. They are the largest living primate. The males can grow up to 5 feet 11 inches tall. That's 2 inches taller than me. 600 pounds in weight. That's at least a couple pounds more than I weigh. Oh, with an arm span of 8 feet 6 inches, 8.5 feet. My gosh. But that gorilla tale went by pretty quick. I hope there's some more gorillas here. The Phantom Earth. Gil Kane, this is really great art. Oh, I love the purple hair. Purple hair matches his suit. Look at the posture on this guy. History tapes, 21st century. History tapes, 22nd century. Oh, he's like on rocket skis, and so is she. These are going to be really fun to read. The Carbon Bomb. I wonder what that is. Tommy Tomorrow, The Gifts from Space. So I'm just, flipping through. Love the covers. Look at this. The Mind Monster. Another Captain Comet story. I'm only 217 pages into this 600 and... How many pages did I say? I can't even remember. 674, something like that. Look at this. Okay, so we got an ape here. The spider is undergoing evolutionary changes. Turns into, from a spider to a mini Godzilla, to an ape, to an ape person, to a pretty lady, to a mutant lady, to an egghead. Ooh, a giant brain in a tiny flying saucer. It's like a Franklin Lloyd Wright architecture house or something. Okay, from eternity to here. I'm gonna have to go through this a bit quicker. Earth's Unlucky Day. The Return of the Conqueror. Tommy Tomorrow in The Rebus of Space. Mystery in Space, The Chain Gang of Space. The Super Luck of Mr. Luke. The Martian Freak. Old Buster Crab here is the freak compared to these guys, I guess. The Runaway World. The Beast from Out of Time. Another Captain Comet story. Love the dinosaurs. The Amazing Inventions of Hiram Thistle. If that ain't a Twilight Zone episode title, I don't know what is. Last Day on Earth. Look, giant bugs. That is straight out of the early 50s. Oh no, he's shrunken down. Very interesting. This is years before Ant-Man. The Spy from Space. Oh look, it's a ventriloquist dummy. Probably comes to life. Like out of that episode of Twilight Zone. Tommy Tomorrow, The Forbidden World. Ooh, it's like a spaceship that drills through the earth. That's neat. The Planet of Ancient Children. I Delivered Mail from Mars. The Eternal Prisoner. The Eyedropper World. The Hunters of the Future. Oh, it's like that panel I showed in my issue of Whiz Comics where the original Spider-Man battles Captain Marvel. The Great Space Train Robbery. Solar Express. A Jesse James Gang of the Future. The Mad Planet. Now, I'm not going to flip to the front to see the credits, but this Mad Planet story looks like it was drawn by Mort Drucker, and I do know that Mort Drucker did draw some stories in here. I just recognize his style from Mad Magazine. The Studio Beyond the Stars. The Robot Detective of Mars. That rhymed. The Phantom Prize Fighter. Punches right through him. The Traffic Cop of Space. The Man Who Was Three Men. The Elephant Who Saved the Earth. The Nine Worlds Hotel. The Plant That Plotted Murder. Ooh, spooky. A Switch in Time. Hey, it's the ancient Romans. The City That Went Mad. The Man Who Couldn't Die. The Singing Spaceman. 2 moons above smile on our love. The Man in the Martian Mask. The Planet of No Return. Hey, she's dressed like Aqualad. The Boomerang Meteors. Interplanetary Insomnia Incorporated. Run from that prehistoric dinosaur alien creature thing. Hey, here we go. The Gorilla World. Look at this. More gorillas, and they're dressed like people. Holding a cigarette, different uniforms, a pipe, a stethoscope. Yeah, now we're talking. The Gorilla World. Ooh, a Civil War statue of a gorilla. Look at this. They're on a world run by gorillas. Oh my gosh. This is from 1953, 1954. Planet of the Apes didn't come out until 1968. Yes, it was based on the book Monkey Planet, which came out in 1963. Still, that's a decade decade after this is when the book came out. This is 15 years before the movie. Look! Oh my gosh. Do all the fans of Planet of the Apes know about this comic? Wow! No eyes can see me. Hey, it's an invisible dude. The Interplanetary Counterfeiters. Lots of green people. And Johnny Quest. And Robert Culp. Saturn, beware. Ooh, that's interesting. The Living Toys. Tiny people, or a big boy. I flew a flying saucer. That just looks beautiful. Hey, neat. This looks like right out of the Star Trek animated series. No, the Krantz Animation Spider-Man cartoon. Or Grant Ray Lawrence. You know, the Ralph Bakshi ones from the 60s. The Body Pirate. Star Salesman. Ooh, flying in a cab. Like right out of Back to the Future 2. I had that Micro Machine. Interplanetary War Base. The Impossible Spaceship. The Interplanetary Merry-Go-Round. Destination Earth. I swear that's the name of a movie. Space Taxi. Oh my gosh, it's Johnny Cab from Total Recall. Look, tell me I'm lying. Look at that. Rocket Race Jockey. Ooh, she's fast. The Man Who Sold the Earth. Hands across the universe. That was a Paul McCartney song. The Super Perfect Servant. Worlds Within Worlds. The Time Vault World. Ooh, he's taking a venture into the vault. The Human Phantom. It's the T-1000. The 3-Minute Genius. Looks like Huckleberry Finn. The 21st Century Film Library. The Radar Man. He has no eyes. The World Series of Tomorrow. You gotta expect baseball-themed stories in the early 50s. The Square Earth. Wait a minute. DC Comics, Superman. That looks like where Bizarro is from. Bizarro didn't come out until 1958. Look, these are the precursor ideas to Bizarro's world. I like it. The Men Who Bombed the Sun. Ooh, I love these fish people. It's a trap. Speaking of which, the Venus Skytrap. Where's Johnny Fever? Rescue through the fourth dimension. Cool. That was a good story to end on. So, what'd you think? And what do you think of my channel? Am I cool? Do you like me? Click the like, subscribe, make a comment below, all that other stuff. I'll see you next time.